Imagine spending years searching for truth. Imagine climbing mountains of silence, sacrificing comfort, questioning everything you once believed, and returning not with gold or power, but with understanding. Then imagine finally speaking, only to realize no one truly hears you. Not because they are evil, not because they hate you, but because people often hear words through the walls of their own beliefs. This is where Zarathustra's journey becomes unexpectedly human. When he first descended from the mountains, he carried a fire within him. He believed he could awaken people. He believed his teachings would inspire transformation. But now, something painful begins to happen. He notices that many people misunderstand him. Some worship his words without understanding them. Some criticize him. Some reshape his ideas into something easier and safer. And slowly Zarathustra discovers a truth many thinkers, artists, and dreamers eventually encounter. Being heard is not the same as being understood. There's an old story about a monk who planted a tree beside a mountain path. Every day he watered it carefully. Months passed. Years passed. But the tree barely grew. A traveler laughed and asked, "Why continue? Surely your effort is wasted." The monk smiled and replied, "Not every seed struggles because it is weak. Some simply grow in seasons others cannot yet see. Sometimes wisdom feels like that. You speak from your deepest understanding, yet people hear something entirely different. Not because truth failed, because timing matters. Because people can only understand through the limits of their own experience." And perhaps Nietzsche understood this deeply. Zarathustra begins criticizing many parts of society, not out of hatred, but disappointment. He looked at religion and feared that many people no longer searched for truth, but searched for certainty. Because certainty feels safe. Questions are uncomfortable. Questions create movement, but fixed answers often create sleep. He looked at intellectuals and saw another danger. Not ignorance, pride. People who collect ideas like trophies. People who memorize wisdom but never allow wisdom to change them. People who can explain life beautifully while never truly living. There is another story. A young student once asked a monk, "Master, how do I become wise?" The monk handed him a cup and poured tea into it, and poured, and poured. Soon tea overflowed across the table. The student shouted, "Stop! The cup is full!" And the monk nodded. So are many minds. Because knowledge and wisdom are not always the same thing. Sometimes intelligence creates another prison. Sometimes people become attached not to truth, but to appearing intelligent. And Zarathustra also criticized artists and the so-called virtuous people. Not because art itself was false, not because kindness was false, but because he saw masks everywhere. People performing goodness, performing morality, performing wisdom. Not living it, not becoming it, only displaying it. How often do people carefully construct versions of themselves for others to admire? How often do we become actors inside our own lives? Maybe this is even more true today. People curate identities, perfect images, perfect opinions, perfect virtues. But beneath those performances, many quietly ask, who am I when nobody is watching? And perhaps this is where Zarathustra's loneliness becomes our loneliness. Because growth can separate us from familiar places. The moment you begin questioning inherited beliefs, the moment you start changing, the moment you refuse easy answers, some people may no longer recognize you. Not because you became worse, because you became different, and difference often creates distance. There is sadness in that, but there is also wisdom. The monk's tree still grew slowly beside the mountain path, not for applause, not for recognition, not because others believed in it. It grew because growth was its nature. Maybe that is the lesson hidden inside Zarathustra's loneliness. Do not measure your path only by understanding from others. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone is meant to. Some seasons of life require solitude. Some truths require silence. And some growth happens long before anyone else can see it. So tonight, ask yourself one quiet question. Am I becoming who I truly am? Or am I becoming who others find easiest to accept? Sit with that thought, because perhaps the deepest loneliness is not being misunderstood by others. Perhaps it is spending your entire life misunderstanding yourself. And if this journey made you reflect, write below, have you ever felt alone because people misunderstood you? Subscribe to Why We Think, and together we'll continue exploring the ideas that quietly shape our lives.